Bo Johnson, one of my favorite comedians to follow here on social media. He's going to be at Zanies on March 29th. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. That's really, really sweet words. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, you are traveling across the country. You just flew first class. What was that experience like?
Oh, I feel like I've been bumped up a few times, but only at this point, always for like the short flights. So I get like a taste of what the better life would be like, but there's no meal. So you get like the drinks, and it's only like an hour. So I'm hoping if I keep the rate of travel I have up, I'll start getting moved up a little bit more often. I think it was particularly funny because I was coming in from LA and my friend who's opening for me this weekend in Oregon, he also was on the flight and he flies Delta. And I fly Alaska a lot, so he got put in literally the last seat in the back, and I was in the very first seat of the airplane.
That's awesome. Now you're doing a bunch of West Coast dates. You're coming to Chicago just for the one date on March 29th. Go ahead and get those tickets ASAP. But thank you so much for making a special trip out to the Windy City.
It'll be the night after my birthday too, so I'll come in one night early to hang out and see the city a little bit on March 28th, my birthday, and then the 29th, probably the last show I'll have in Chicago for at least a minute, and hopefully be back many more times after that, when I'm called upon to do so.
Well, we're so excited that you're going to be spending your birthday here in Chicago. Do you have an idea of what you're going to be doing? Do you have friends in town that are going to be taking you around? What can you tease about your birthday?
I Probably most of it will be travel. It won't be too, I'll fly in, maybe do like an anonymous spot on a show just to warm up for the Wednesday show, like something short. I'll probably see a friend and get some dinner or something, and then just sleep in and make sure I get my beauty rest before Wednesday.
Before Zanies. Last time you were in town, you went to medieval times. What was that experience like for you? And are you going to go back again this time?
I don't think I'll make it back this time, but I did. I really enjoyed it. It was a Sunday show, a matinee, and it was not very well attended, which I kind of enjoyed as a performer because I've definitely done many shows like that. And at least for me, I just kind of show up and there's a microphone. There's not that much of like a dramatics, not much theater to it if it's just kind of an emptier room and you're talking. But it was kind of funny to watch them have to do the whole production for probably a fourth full arena. And it definitely is an interesting mix of, children going for a birthday party and adults that are just kind of like wanting to see something kind of weird on a Sunday at 1 o'clock.
And I'm sure there's probably a lot of corporate trips as well too that end up taking place probably during the week as well.
I think it's one of the only places because they have you root for the night. I don't know if you've been. They have you like you get a night
Yeah.
that you cheer for, and I think we had the Green Knight, and the Green Knight ended up being the villain. You don't know when you start. You kind of like one of them becomes kind of evil, and it's the only place I've been where like the queen will be like, "Should we spare their life?" Then you'll see like a father yell, "Kill him!" His daughter's there eating, and it's a very strange place, but.
But it makes for great entertainment. It's been in the Chicagoland area for forever. So, obviously people are enjoying it and people, keep finding new Green Knights to play.
I'll do my best to make my show at least as close to as good as choosing to see a medieval times show. But I'll only be there for one night, so hopefully folks will come out to Zanies.
Oh, of course. Now, as far as your shows, because if you are a stage performer, as far as like a player in a musical, you try to not get distracted by the audience and maybe some of the crazy things that they're doing. But as a comedian, sometimes that makes for a great moment or something that you can put on social media. I want to go through a couple of the things that I've seen on your page and maybe talk a little bit about those moments. The guy with the uncontrollable hyena laugh at
Oh,
who at the beginning was like already like minute one was already loving your show.
I mean, someone having a good time is nice. I think it's just maybe when something is happening in a room and everyone's noticing it, I feel like it's important to be present and acknowledge what's going on and not just kind of like pretend as if what's happening isn't happening because it's not exactly like theater where you have all of the lines and it goes kind of in theory should go exactly the same way each time where the environment's different, like the rooms you perform in are different. Maybe it's a funny space, maybe there's someone who has a noticeable laugh. um, Hopefully not, but maybe someone gets too drunk and yells something out, and sometimes it makes sense to ignore that, but other times it's like, well, let's kind of treat the show for how it's going in the moment rather, I guess.
We talk about mental health, and the therapist just wanted to like give you her card right in the middle
Oh
of the
yeah.
show.
That's a very drunk show. Yeah. The therapist who wanted to give me a card, and I was like, I don't use therapists that heckle during comedy shows. Yeah. So yeah, I think that if folks come out, I definitely it's most of what I have is like pretty written act. It's all there. And then I'll usually engage with the crowd or chat with a little bit if there's like a reason to do so. But you definitely see like a uh if you go through, I think a lot of comics social media, you'll see a mix of like maybe more crowd work than happens at a show, at least for me, because that's kind of the material that you don't want to show everything, or it's more sustainable to post something weekly where you're like, here's the fun little moment from all of the shows this last weekend in Dallas that were more like I wrote it about the town specifically, or there was one person who was fun to talk to. And then you'll definitely see some of the stuff that is on my socials now, and hopefully some things that are new, or kind of seeing where those jokes live in a larger act versus just pulled out for a minute at a time.
One of the things that I always struggle with is sometimes, you go to one of these comedy clubs and it's a 2 drink minimum. So obviously it doesn't make a lot of noise to drink out of a straw or take a sip of your
Yeah.
beer. But sometimes they have, crunchy nachos or, different types of food, and you don't want to interrupt the person, but you still want to eat at the same time.
Oh yeah. Especially when if it's like hopefully this won't be the case in Chicago, but if it's like a more lightly attended show and you have chips, you can be very well meaning. I've seen someone like it was like kind of a quieter room and they're just I saw someone, I was in the back watching the rest of the show, and someone tried to open the bag of chips when there was like loud laughter, kind of like in the same, not to it's an old movie, so my apologies for the spoilers, but if you watch like a prison movie like Shawshank Redemption where they're trying to escape with the lightning strikes, you'll kind of see someone trying to time it the right way.
Everybody's laughing. All right, open it back up now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm gonna match your old movie as well too. So if you have not seen The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey,
Oh, a long time ago. It's been a
um,
minute.
there's a good funny scene about medieval times in there too. They end up going there, and that's kind of one of those things. Anytime anyone talks about medieval times, I was like reference that movie because it's a funny scene. I got to go back and watch it. I haven't watched it in a while, but I got to go back and see it.
I don't think I've seen that since I was probably in like middle school, so it is overdue for a rewatch then.
I hope it lives up. That's one of the things too, where sometimes you just leave it like in that period of your life because sometimes you love something, you watch it a gazillion times, and then you see it as an adult, and you're like, why did I spend every weekend watching this movie?
Better to have a nice memory sometimes.
But besides being hilarious, your voice is also very soothing. Does that come from your parents both being massage therapists?
I mean, maybe there's nature or nurture involved. It might just be how I sound. My mom's German, and a lot of her relatives on like my uncles tend to have kind of pretty deep voices. So maybe from that. I think the one thing that is interesting, so I think I probably sound more like a massage therapist than my parents do because my mom's German and my dad's from the East Coast. And I don't hear either accent that much because it's been around me my whole life. So it sounds kind of like my ear is used to it. But if you hadn't met them before, my dad definitely has a like light Boston accent, and my mom has a German accent, which are not the most generally relaxing intonations that one could have. So they sound maybe more like two mechanics than massage therapists, and I sound like this.
As far as growing up, there was sometimes people living in your house that weren't family members. How did that how was what was that experience like for you growing up?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I'm an only child. But probably from, I don't know exactly which age on, but pretty young. The room across from my bedroom generally had a series of different folks renting it out. Usually, a number of them were people my folks knew. A lot of them were just people off of Craigslist. Some of them that lived there for a year, some for half a year, some one for like probably 10 years. And often for a lot of probably my like earliest childhood, I don't think I really realized this at the time, but it was a lot of kind of men going through divorces or separation in their life. And so on my end, I was like, oh, must be so fun for them to live with this family. And on their end, they're probably like, this isn't really how I saw this part of my life going. I was moving in with a different family. But
As far as coming to Chicago, we've got deep dish pizza, we've got hot dog, we got so many different foods that we're known for. Has anyone started to like DM you as far as like you got to go try this place, you got to go there? Do you have any kind of favorite cuisine that you're looking forward to trying here?
last time I was in Chicago, I did like went to a hot dog place. I got like a Chicago dog. And so I think I've got that covered. I didn't actually have any deep dish pizza, so maybe that'll be more on the menu. And the other thing I did do, I asked the people I was on the plane with who lived in Chicago. Like, I wish I could remember the name, but they sent me to like a deli, and I got a really good Italian sandwich too.
Was it JP Graziano's?
Graziano's, yeah, that
Oh,
was it. It was
yeah,
great.
that's
So
it. That's an
maybe I'll try
iconic
to.
place here.
I might try to trek there again. That was delicious.
Yeah, no, those sandwiches are wonderful. As far as maybe some of the messages, because especially with your big presence on social media, sometimes you never know what someone is going through and they're just looking for a laugh to start their day, or sometimes they're struggling through something in the middle of the day and someone's sends them, maybe one of your clips. Do you get messages from people of like, thank you for making my day, or just any of those kind of like reinforcements as far as like, thank you for like putting these messages up on social media?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say I'm a hero. But no, yeah, a handful every once in a while. I think people will leave a comment like I'm going through a tough time or this made me smile or laugh. And that's definitely a wonderful thing to hear. It's like, yeah, if anything that brings someone levity is a good thing. And then I mean, hopefully for most people they're in a good place and they just enjoy it without needing to be lifted out of something. But yeah, those messages are special and are a really nice thing to receive.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. March 29th, catch him at Zanies, one show only. Make sure to get those tickets ASAP, chicago.zanies.com. And we'll see you in Chicago here shortly.
Of course. Thanks so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.